Hey guys, this is Kami Ken, and the Yuji meets Hakari scene in the recent episode of JJK was so interesting in the way that it was shot and told that I had to actually look it up in the manga to see how did they originally handle it. How did Gege Akutami originally handle that scene? And what did the anime change about the storytelling? Because I know for a fact that there's no way the manga would have a single shot or a single frame for several pages of the same thing until we get to the actual clash between Yuji and Hakari. And this video is mainly to highlight the difference between anime storytelling and manga storytelling and highlight the differences between the two mediums. So if we take a look at the actual scene in the anime, it seems that the anime director understands that this is basically just a talking scene. This is just a dialogue scene, and there's really no reason to change camera views, change camera points, and give the animators a whole lot more work to do to get the story across. If you gave the same scene to AI, the AI would just do everything normally and move the scenes where they're supposed to go. It wouldn't add anything new. It wouldn't try anything. It would just do what the manga was given and then maybe add some animation on top of it. But other creators have actually done fan animations of the same scene and put their own take on it. Whereas I think whenever Japanese directors see that fan animations have been created of the same scene, they're like, all right, we got to do something unique, different, just completely opposite to what anyone would expect because people have already animated it. And now we got to go in a completely different direction. So they go for something that's interesting and still cost effective and something that still tells the basic gist of the story while fitting within the parameters that they have to work with. So what we got as a result was the scene that we saw in JJK season 3. Now if we look at the manga pages for the same scene, can you guess what those pages will actually look like? Knowing what the anime looks like, can you guess what the manga pages will look like? Because there was one specific part that I was expecting to see, that I was hoping to see, that would truly highlight the difference between the manga and the anime. And that was the part where Hakari activated his technique on Yuji. And we get those really interesting camera angles in the anime that just make it seem like, oh, these doors came out of nowhere. And they really did. They did come out of nowhere, but it just made it seem like a normal thing. It didn't really look too special or crazy. It was just two doors came, tried to slam Yuji. Yuji jumped the first one, and then he got choked on the second. And then they clashed. And there were a couple of kicks in between where Hakari got a couple of hits on Yuji. They go by so fast that I had to actually replay the scene a couple times to catch them. And then in the manga, when we look at the manga pages, Gege knows that this is going to be a talking scene, that he's setting up a talking scene to give Hakari's point of view of the world and introduce his character to Yuji. And so it's a talking scene. It's just him talking about passion, how he's driven by passion, and his favorite word, passion. So we get scenes of Hakari, his face, we get the close-up, medium, long shot, we get all the camera angles of the scene that you would expect for a manga to do, because it would be boring to look at the same frame for page upon page upon page of him just talking. It works in the anime because it wasn't for a very long time, and it was almost like a cinematic choice the way that they were doing it. The acting was very subtle, and it was still noticeable what they felt and what they were doing. But it's not something you can get away with in manga. In comics, you really need to be clear about how the characters are acting, what they're doing, and how they're expressing themselves. It needs to be clear on the page so that you can read it and keep the story flow going. But if you stop the panels like that, it just wouldn't work. And so what I did was, like, I took the frame from the anime and just I switched it to black and white just to see what it would look like if you tried to do that same thing in the manga, specifically with the 2 frames where Hakari activates his power, and it just doesn't hit the same way. Like Yuji dodging the doors and getting choked by the doors in the manga hit way harder because we got the play-by-play of what was happening. And so it was really interesting to see how the anime handled the same scene and how they told that bit of the story, because I knew for a fact that if Hakari activated his door power like that in the anime, that the director was making a deliberate choice to make it look specifically like that. Like, it was really interesting the way that was done. So I wanted to see the manga, and I had a feeling in my head like the manga is going to do it not overblown, but it's going to do it very clearly so that you could see exactly what is happening and understand how Yuji is dodging or getting hit, understand the play-by-play of the fight. So I just thought that was interesting, and yeah, I'm just gonna keep watching the rest of the season and keep up with it. And please check out my latest webcomic, Saintly. It is a demon chase horror action comedy about 2 best friends who have to outrun the demon loan sharks that they borrowed from. Basically, it's like Scooby-Doo meets K-pop demon hunters without the K-pop. And the story backs the main character into a corner where she has to decide between the hard path to success or lose her soul to the lure of easy money. And we get to see the ramifications of her choice, and if she can hide this deal with the devil from her friend, or if it will tear them apart. And I hope you read my comic in the description and check out the story. It should appear in your email inbox or your spam folder if you don't see it. And that'll be all for today's video. I will see you in the next one. Peace.